witty, just for the record.
Let me try. There was something a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. Tell me what you're thinking. Tell
I
me
don't
your
remember.
worries.
I don't remember exactly what it was. I might have to turn off my. Hold on. I'm turning down my fan.
Thank you for calling the MLS Now podcast. This is Russell calling on a recorded line. May I speak to Gavin, please?
No. There was something you said that was witty a couple weeks ago while we were we were not on a hot mic.
Make a list, why don't you? The number of witty things that I say, come on.
It's not very long. It's quite a short list.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
What's going on my phone?
What do you mean what's going on your phone? I retweeted. I liked and retweeted your thing.
I'm like, why am I getting so many buzzes?
I got tagged me on social media, and then when I do something about the tag that he just tagged me in, he's like, "What happened?"
I didn't know what was going on. It was a lot of buzzing all at the same time.
Oh my gosh, Gavin! Thank goodness that we are not live yet.
Well, we are live. Our faces
wow.
are out there. Again, to our millions of viewers.
Hey, those are your words, not mine, Gavin. Mm-hmm. Hey, you know what? Florida's a progressive place.
I wouldn't say that.
hey, you know, Gavin. Hey, happy Pride Month.
Happy Pride Month to all my celebrating Floridians. Hey, okay. David was very clear, very, very clear from day one.
Very, very clear.
Okay, so just for some history, I was the second ever guest. Sorry, I was on the second episode of this entire podcast as a guest. Okay. David started the podcast on his lonesome.
Who?
He knew another David who is an Orlando City fan, and he connected me with him, and I joined the podcast. Okay, story time, and I joined, and one of the first things David said to me was, no politics. No politics. It's like his one thing about this podcast. So, in David's name, we will not talk about podcast. Or
we will not talk about podcasts.
We will not talk about politics. Zero politics. It's like I can't believe I said podcast. It's like a guiding. I have my corporate hat on. It's a guiding principle of the podcast.
Hey, which beer is this? How many beers in are you?
I am 0.05 beers in, and it's just a Miller Lite.
Oh
it's you can't see it, but I'm showing the camera. It's a Miller Lite.
Complete lightweight. Oh my gosh, he's already drunk.
You're acting like I'm wasted over here.
You are. You're saying podcast instead of politics.
They're P words. They're similar. I'm just my normal self.
Come on, guys. Can't be using the P word on a podcast. Come on.
I get lost in the sauce sometimes, okay? Cut me some slack.
Hey, you know what I'm going to cut you, Gavin? I'm going to cut you off right here.
You're going to have to try again. I can't hear it.
Ooh, that's a shame.
Very climactic.
Ooh, hey, you know what? Hey, Gavin, guess what?
And don't mess it up this time. Oh.
All right.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the MLS Now podcast. I'm your host. You can find me on social media. It's Russell at Mr. Danger Russ. You can find the podcast on social media at MLS Now Podcast, unless you're watching us live, as we have Gavin's music going off in the background. Oh my gosh. Well, hey, anyways, you can find Gavin on social media at LionsBlog1. Gavin, hello. I would appreciate the tunes. I didn't know we had two DJs on this recording.
My music making me sound like I'm like Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Well, no,
It's Gavin's music. Oh my gosh!
By God, it's Lions Block 1 with a chair.
Always this stupid chair. I'm always not in a good position for the episode. So I'm sorry you are always here in my office chair.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Well, hey, you know what? Look, out of the many, many things that you could have a dog, you could have a cat, you could have fireworks outside. I'll take a chair
Yeah.
most days of the week.
I have 75% of those things.
Right.
And if you think of thunder, because it is thundering over here, I have 100%
Right.
of those things.
Lightning and the thunder.
Hey, I've got bad news for this dude who's watching us. Joseph Illini.
Ooh, hey, it's Coach Joe.
Oh, is that his last name? I didn't know that. Okay. Hey, Coach Joe. He asked why
Oh
are y'all
my
not
gosh.
watching TST final? And we are
Uh,
committed to the MLS Now
yeah.
podcast, and also I don't watch TST. So,
Mm,
two
dang,
reasons.
that's crazy because already we are gonna have to cross off one of my topics in the
Oof.
discussion topics for the week. Ooh,
I can
all right, just
I can BS it
some
if you
strike.
want.
No, I just put strike through on that. It's gone from the notes.
Okay. Adios, hasta la vista.
Unbelievable. This man tearing apart the script before we've even had a chance to get into it. Gavin, how are you?
I'm good. It was a busy weekend. It was a busy day at work. I am
Yep.
quite
A lot of
tired.
soccer.
A lot of
Tons of
soccer.
over the
Yeah.
weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Almost an unwatchable amount of soccer. Mainly
I
because, you know, 75% of the matches kicked off at the same time.
Yeah, and they were pretty unwatchable matches to watch. Funnily
They
enough.
were.
Yeah, it was
They
pretty.
were. Yeah.
It's a pretty bland weekend. The game I played in wasn't unwatchable. There were multiple fights in my game on Sunday.
Nice.
Yep.
Did you win?
We tied 2-2. Yeah.
I was asking about the fights that you were in.
Oh, I won my fight.
Oh, there you go. Hey,
That's all that
look
means.
at you.
All that
Hey,
matters.
Gavin, look at us. Who would have
Look at
thought?
us. Not me. Not me. But yeah, I assume you were going to transition into the games that actually happened that we're here to talk about for MLS. They were pretty unwatchable. I agree.
They were. Well, hey, I don't want to talk about them just yet, Gavin. I want
Oh
to talk about
no.
some other things instead. Look, there's only 4 matches to talk about, so I actually had a few different discussion topics, not just one big story that I'd love to pick your brain on this go around.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna give you a softball on this one. Hey, Gavin, what's your thoughts on TST? I mean, big tournament. It's the second year that it's happening. Huge, resounding success, many would say. And now they have TST, the men's and the women's side, both sides competing for $1 million. Gavin, I've always known you to be a lifelong TST fan, so give me the full rundown on where you sit on the tournament.
I don't really sit anywhere on the tournament itself. I think it's a cool idea. I actually I was thinking about this a few weeks ago. Not about TST in general, but like I think there are other avenues of the sport that there's a huge gap or a huge opportunity, I should say, for people who want to exploit it. And I think that is starting to happen with the TST thing with all the celebrities. And I think we've talked about this before in the past, sometime last year. But also like just small-sided games. Like I feel like a solid like 6v6 in a cage with like professional players and like hyped up events and like big names involved, I think that could really blow up as well as like another avenue for people to watch the sport. And those guys are super skillful. Those guys and gals, I should say. Super skillful, really good in tight spaces, and they can do some pretty crazy things with the soccer ball. And in those smaller areas, it's pretty fun to watch because there's already professional soccer happening, but it's just not as hyped up enough.
I'm not gonna lie, Gavin, you lost me partway through there because I started thinking about like WWE, where you talk about six on six, like 12 guys in a cage going in, 12 men enter, 1 man leaves, money in the bank, get out the ladder, all that.
When I meant
And
cage, I meant you know
yeah,
what I meant.
no, I know exactly what you mean. There's actually a
Yeah.
local bar in Cincinnati that's a soccer bar, you could almost call it. They actually have
Mm-hmm.
a small caged in field for three
Yeah.
on three matches.
Yeah.
They do beer leagues actually of 3-on-3.
Nice.
Really fun place.
Yeah.
If you're ever in Cincinnati for a match, you can go to the pitch.
Sounds pretty fun.
Literally what it's called, the pitch.
Yeah.
The pitch, Cincy. So nice little place. I enjoy going there.
But yeah, sorry, not a ton of thoughts on TST. Coach Joe, I guess, if that is who this is in the comments or in the
if
live
that
chat.
is your real name,
If that
Coach
is your real
Joe.
name. TST is roughly 1,000,000 times more watchable and impactful than an MLS All-Star match.
That's probably fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is much more watchable because it is broadcast on their website for free.
True. I will say though, I am ready for a East vs West MLS All-Star. I don't know why it's taking so long. Instead, we're getting another Liga MX All-Star. It's pretty depressing.
Because All-Stars is not about growing the brand within the league. It's about growing the MLS brand outside of MLS, Gavin.
I get that. But as an MLS fan, I want to see East versus West. I don't care about the other leagues.
Yeah, but here's the thing, Gavin. Like NBA is like the league, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, NFL is the league. MLS is not the league globally.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to grow your brand, you got to give other people who don't care about the league a reason to watch the league. And it's either signing Messi or having a Liga MX versus MLS All-Stars match in 2024. So,
well, why don't they just shoot for the stars? Why don't they go do All-Star against the Premier League?
All-Star versus Messi?
The Premier League, not versus Messi.
Well, they did that last year with All-Stars versus Arsenal, and they lost horribly.
Well, yeah, but I mean like Premier League All-Stars. Like I think that could be a good. Like they're doing it against Liga MX All-Stars, but if you could find a date where you just pick Premier League All-Stars, I think that is how you could grow the brand.
That would be very, very interesting, and I bet you could probably convince some players to do it. But I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like at that point you may as well just do MLS All-Stars versus English national team.
Oh, yeah. True. Let's go get that audience, though. Okay, right. We do have confirmation. It's Coach Joe's government name.
Coach Joe's government name.
Is
last
Joseph,
name Joe, first name
I don't know how to say your last name, Joe. I'm sorry. Illinois. Illinois. It's not spelled that way, though.
It's not pronounced Illinois. That I know for a fact.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else on your mind?
Absolutely, a million things. Okay, Gavin. More
accurate.
Serious topic. Here's a real question for you. Why would a player want to come to MLS? And this stems from, the transfer season kicking off. But like in your mind, right? We talk about how players go to they can go to Saudi Arabia or they can go to MLS, and people talk about, there's all the money they're getting, stupid money in Saudi Arabia, or why would you go to MLS when you could play in, Europe, or even if you're going to do a championship team in England, why would people want to go to MLS is kind of my thought pattern, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you're making a sales pitch to a player saying, hey, you can come play in MLS. We don't have Champions League, and you might not be getting the same huge money that you're going to get from some other countries. What is it that we're pitching to players to convince them to come play in the States?
There's definitely a few things you can pitch. I mean, being the literal most important player on the team, captain's armband gets thrown around a lot, I bet, in negotiations, because, I don't know, I guess that's important to some players. Lifestyle,
But how many teams does lifestyle apply to?
Well, I just mean
Cincinnati
more.
Say, what does Sporting Kansas City say? What does Minnesota say? LA Galaxy, LAFC, Atlanta, New York NYCFC, New York Red Bulls, easy sells, right? Maybe even Houston to a certain extent, if depending on what type of player you are, or even Chicago, I guess.
Yeah, lavish lifestyle. I see what you're saying. I guess more what I was thinking was maybe more maybe not lifestyle, but privacy. People say most players can kind of go out and grocery shop and live their life and not be mobbed. Unlike if they're, living over in Europe, they go out grocery shop, even if they're a bench player, they're getting mobbed sometimes, it feels like. So something like that. Um we've had this conversation before, but like I don't think we're the most attractive league out there.
Agree. Yeah. We're not even a top 5 most attractive league out there. We're probably
No.
not. We're probably maybe sitting outside the top 10, but not by much.
To sign into it, you're signing on to these weird, unusual rules. You're signing into a union contract. You can get traded, like without your permission, I guess. Like, do they don't have to consent to trades, right?
No, they don't. But some players, if they're large enough in name, can manage to get a no trade clause put into their contract. But
yeah, that's a good point.
I would say those are the exception and not the norm.
Mm-hmm. So like I don't know. And then like you said, there's no like UEFA Champions League for sure. Whereas some players, you could go to Europe. You could go to like smaller nations and go to one of the better teams on those nations and still go to play Champions League. Like a team in Turkey or Greece or something like that. Like if you make it onto one of those teams, you're probably going to be in the Champions League. Like I'm thinking like Olympiacos or
right. Fenerbahce,
they're still good teams.
Galatasaray.
Yeah.
Besiktas.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So you still have that chance to play in Europe, but also at not one of those big 5 leagues per se. Joe says in MLS they maintain prominence. Saudi League is where you go to end career in relative anonymity.
That's that's very fair because like with the exception of Ronaldo, who's in the Saudi league right now? Like, could you name
Benzema.
players off the top? Okay. When was the last time you heard Benzema's name in the media?
Exactly. Mane, and I think that's because I saw he's trying to leave. Jordan Henderson, and he already left. Is he in Scotland now? I don't remember. It's hard. Joao Neves, that was a big topic last summer when he left, and then he was going to go to Newcastle like immediately, and basically Premier League clubs said no, you can't do that. I can't think of many others. There's a couple more where it's like, oh, why did you go to Saudi Arabian League? You're like better than that.
Well, there you go. I mean, that's
yeah. So to answer your question, I know I've been long-winded, but we're not an attractive league to join, unfortunately.
Right. So, anyways, what's your actual answer, Gavin? Why are we telling people that they should join MLS? I feel like I don't have an answer from you yet, if I'm being honest. Like privacy?
Unfortunately, I have felt like some people, like some clubs in South America specifically, are seeing MLS as a way to make money by marketing their semi-good players really well.
Yes. Yeah. I mean,
like almost like not a scam, but like just really good selling. And right. MLS right now is like jumping onto that, and we're seeing some big transfers just be complete duds because like I think we're still young and our executives don't know better.
I think there's a lot of leagues though. I mean, it's not just MLS that has dud transfers. Look at Chelsea.
No, I know, but like we're paying lots of money for lots of mid players.
Agree, but I think when really good players have the ability to go to top 5 leagues, that's kind of like that's what you get, right? Like unless you're gonna outbid all those players, and then people are like, oh, they're just going to MLS to like play for money, which to be fair, get the bag if you have a short career.
Yep.
But I mean, unless you're gonna heavily overpay these players, yeah, like 100% you're gonna go to the league that pays you better and has Champions League. So yeah, I'm not surprised that MLS has to overpay players and take gambles on players that might not be sure thing type guys.
Yeah, exactly. That's fair. I just think we bite too much as a league.
And we're improving. There is smarter scouting that's going on.
In some teams, yes. Yep.
And there's still some good marquee signings. Rookie Pooj, great marquee signing. The
Yep.
type of sign that, a very ambitious team who's looking to have, a big name, who's young, who could be around for a while. That's a good signing.
I agree.
Signing someone like Lionel Messi. I mean, look, tons of clubs in the world still wanted Lionel Messi. Lionel Messi walks into the starting 11 for basically any club in the world.
Yep.
It doesn't matter his age. If you can sign Lionel Messi, you sign Lionel Messi. It's just
a requirement,
Yeah.
Yeah. Joe said we're basically describing Almada. Or I guess I am. I won't say we.
We're describing Almada of this year, but look, if Almada had been sold last year after World Cup and after having a pretty good season, people would have said, "Oh my gosh, look, MLS developed this guy and he went on and got a big sale and now he's off to some team in Europe."
Yep.
So, yeah,
I
think it's all contextual.
Yeah.
He's stayed and he's had a relatively anonymous season, and it's always the risk.
Yeah.
Anyways, it was a thought exercise, a thought experiment, I guess. I wanted to see what your thoughts were as far as, hey, why are people actually coming to MLS? Why do you tell them to come here? And I will admit, Gavin, I don't think we have a full answer yet. We'll keep exploring this.
Yeah. I don't think we'll ever have a full answer. Maybe we'd have to ask some executives, like interview somebody and just say, what is your sell for your club?
And I
maybe it's good facilities.
Potentially, we've heard a lot about MLS teams building brand new facilities, and that is something I've seen thrown around as a draw. Now, whether or not it is, maybe that's more of a question of players. Like, hey, how do the facilities here in MLS compare to other teams, and was this a deciding factor for you? Maybe. Is medical care important?
Maybe. Yep.
Maybe.
I mean, you brought up Ricky Pooj. Like, maybe some people just want their families to live in the United States.
Very possible.
That's the case for Pedro Gallese. He and his family wanted to live in the United States. We got him for a free transfer after his club liquidated, but he was a heavily sought after player, obviously.
Right. Well, and here he is. He stayed in the United States.
Yep. So, there's another thing. The United States.
Right. Just the ability to live here. Maybe that is a selling point.
Greatest nation in the world. If you had the eagle sound, you would have played it right now.
I would have. Hey, if we desire, we can always fix that in post.
Yeah. Not me though. That's a you thing.
Right.
That's too much work.
I'd need to get an eagle sound effect, and I don't know if I'm paying, $1.99 for a royalty-free eagle sound effect.
We'll just have to AI it.
I don't know if I would do that either. That sounds risky.
Very, very. All right, shall we get into the 4 games or anything else?
No, I suppose we could get into the games themselves. I still had more things to talk about, but I'm going to be honest, Gavin, I think I want to keep some of these in my back pocket, because what if we have a slow news week this coming week, and I'm like, I need a topic, this one that we didn't cover. So
maybe
keep these tucked away.
Yeah.
Never know. But we have, 14 matches coming up this weekend, so...
Yep, right back at it, on the grind.
Right, who knows? We might not even need to talk stories or news. All right, Gavin, despite there only being 4 matches, I still took the time out of my day to come up with titles for these matches. So, Gavin, we have Bracket Buster, Moral Victory, Business as Usual, and Mid-Off.
I think I know each of them. Let's start with Bracket Buster.
All right, who do you think this one is?
The Revs.
Yes. Yep. New York Red Bulls 0, Revs 1. Now, I will start this by saying I don't read anything at all into this match, especially if you look at the lineup for New York Red Bulls.
Yeah, it was missing all their key players.
Right. So here's my question: do you think this buys Porter any more time, or do you think this like acts as any sort of get right match for like the player's mentality? Like I'm gonna compartmentalize, right? Like I'm gonna push New York Red Bull off to the side because I don't think there's much to read into on this unless you want to talk about like the social media meltdown that's been happening around New York Red Bull player right now, and like that's a whole other can of worms that we don't need to talk about or bring into
Right, yeah.
on game discussions. So like let's just talk New England Revolution. It's a win at a very important time when they're not getting a whole lot of those. I don't think it actually moves them anywhere in the standings, for the record.
No,
But
it doesn't move them in the stand, but like
does
I don't
does
have.
it even accomplish anything? Like,
Oh, well, oh, yes, I think it does. I don't, if used in the right way. I don't think Porter has the skill to like get it in like frame it in the right way for the team to like rally beyond this one result. It and like, okay, like this is our kickoff point and we're gonna go and like go on a really good run here, kind of like Coach Joe's in the chat, kind of like NYCFC did. They got a string of a couple good results together and all of a sudden they have that momentum and bang, they're on their way to top 3 in the East. Like that's their form right now, one of the best teams in the league. And like I don't see it, but it could happen. They could turn it around. I don't think they looked particularly good, and they just kind of, they had one moment of magic from you know who, and it resulted in a goal, which happens sometimes. And Red Bulls,
margins.
Joe says Red Bulls had majority of their starters. They did have majority of their starters, but they had none of their difference makers. Like, I'm sorry, but Elias Manuel and Van Zier haven't been difference makers this season. They've both had one or two good performances each, but like they're missing Lewis Morgan and they were missing Forsberg, and those are the guys who have been like breaking games open and getting them to these good results. And they missed both those guys, and so it was just a bunch of average players, support players, and there wasn't that guy that they need, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think my only caveat to that is I think Dante Van Zier did have like a string of good games like to start the season where he was having really good link up play and getting assists, but
He had like a game where he got 4 assists. And I think he might be at like 5 or 6 assists on the season. Like it's good, but like
yeah.
I really think he just had like a game. And other than that,
Yeah.
it's kind of been average.
To be fair, you're right in that he's not Lewis Morgan, he's not Forsberg.
Right. He is not. I am 100% correct on that. But I know what you mean. Yeah, he has
Very
6
fair.
assists. 4 of them coming in one game.
Wow, look at that. Great guess.
Woo! Alright, what does Joe say? Von Zier gets made to look better than he is because of Forsberg and Morgan. Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. Oh, no wonder you think Von Zier's having a good season. He scored and assisted against Cincinnati.
Yeah.
That was the other
Yeah.
game he had a good game, and that was it.
Boy. But isn't that just the way?
Just the way it works. Yeah.
Yeah. That's just the way it goes.
Red Bulls, yeah, I don't have much more to say other than they look like they were missing their key guys who are going to make a difference for them. This was just a kind of meh game. Was rooting for them, but wasn't meant to be this week. And let's see if New England can kick on from here, or if this was just another kind of, you have to win one eventually kind of result.
Yeah. My gut tells me this is one of those broken clock is right twice a day.
Okay.
I want it to be something more positive, but I have zero faith in Caleb Porter. So,
Yep.
all right. Well, Gavin, I'm gonna shift us along here. We got 3 more matches. Is there another one that you want to hit on? Do you think you can guess which one is business as usual?
Actually, no.
Oh.
Okay. I think it's gotta be the Minnesota match? No. SKC versus Seattle, Minnesota versus Dallas, and what's the other game?
St. Louis versus Portland.
It's not that one. Business as usual is not SKC. Yeah, okay. My first guess, Minnesota.
Wrong.
What is it?
We will go to Minnesota versus Dallas, though, which is moral victory. Hear me out on this.
What?
Minnesota. Hear me out on this. Minnesota didn't win, but Nico Estevez got fired from Dallas after this match. And
yes.
I'm going to say, like, this feels like a moral victory for both sides in this case. Like, Dallas get rid of a coach that needed to go.
This is a terrible result for Minnesota.
It is a terrible result for Minnesota, but the fans can look at it and be like, hey, look, Estevez got fired. It's kind of like a win, right? Yeah, there is no glory in this other than, pointing at something and being like, I guess we can be happy about this, right?
Yeah, I guess Minnesota fans can point and laugh, but I couldn't believe they didn't win this match. I
was shocked
believe it
as well.
Yeah.
For the record, I was stunned that because again, this felt like another lock. Dallas has been dreadful this year.
Hence their coach got fired.
And I think it's acknowledgement that the players individually should be better than the performances that they've been giving. Just like Pineda. And this is maybe acknowledgement that something has to change, and they're going to change it with the coach.
Yeah. I mean, I know Minnesota were missing players, right? Like
they were.
Tawny.
But here's the thing.
Tawny's with the international team, I think, right?
But tons of teams are missing players. Like, I don't want to use international break as an excuse for any of these teams, because all the teams had to play during the international break, or at least all these teams that played against each other played during the international break.
I guess all I'll say is it looks like Minnesota were missing their key players more than Dallas were. That's all.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
But Minnesota still should have won, in my opinion.
They should have. Yeah. And I think for me, ultimately, it just comes down to the fact that Eric Ramsey is a better coach than Nico Estevez. Like,
yep.
I don't know how to describe it for Minnesota. It's a missed opportunity. It's 2 dropped points at home. But yeah, hey, look, Nico Estevez is fired though. That's honestly the moral victory
for Dallas fans. Yes,
for Dallas fans.
You're reaching with saying this is any sort of victory for Minnesota.
It's a moral victory, Gavin.
Especially when they went 1-0 up through Dotson, right?
Mm-hmm.
There was a point in time. There was a point in time where Minnesota were winning and Seattle were winning, and I was sitting pretty. I was like, okay, things are going great this weekend. Things are going great, and then just
I wish I had seen you on Twitter being like, I wish I had seen like some
gloating.
Sort of instant, like some sort of instant karma. But I think you stayed off the social media.
I did
during that time. Yeah.
Yeah, I would have looked dumb.
You could have been on like MLS images that preceded unfortunate events.
If
you had, If you
okay, what is I have nothing else on that match, but we do have a correspondent corner actually.
Yes, we do for Dallas.
It's from Melanie. Don't know what is going to happen. Is just a coaching change that was needed? ? Will Dallas have to redo almost their whole squad? ? It'll be interesting to see how the club plays with a different coach in charge. I guess we glossed over it, but Estevez gone.
I kept trying to not gloss over it. You just kept
no.
From it.
I guess so. Yeah. I'm excited to see where they go from here. Because they have good players who can't stay fit, unfortunately. But, like, they have good players in attack, and they really need to lean on those players heavily because I'm not too convinced by their midfielder defense. So I think
At least
an
not the way they've
attack-minded
been
coach.
playing.
No, I don't know why he went to this 3-back system. It hasn't worked all season, and so hopefully whoever they bring in can either make a 3-back system work somehow, or they can leverage the talent they have in attack in Illaramendi, Ferreira, Musa, Areola, and those are just the guys who are fit. Kamungo coming off the bench, Leggett. Like, they have pieces in attack. They just need to bring it all together.
Right. You honestly, like, just stop overthinking it. When you're in a rut,
Yeah.
and you fire the coach, I feel like sometimes the success comes from the fact that whoever the interim is just comes in and says, I'm just going to put you guys as close to a natural position that you like to play in as possible, and I'll let you do the rest.
Yep.
And weirdly enough, it works.
Mm-hmm. Get Areola running in behind. Get Jesus Ferreira dropping deep, doing 1-2s.
Yeah. Who does Dallas play this coming weekend?
St. Louis at home.
St. Louis at home. Oh, that could be a bounce back game for Dallas.
Could be. Depends who their new coach, if they get
Absolutely.
a new coach in or time or not.
I don't think they even need a new coach.
Okay.
Just whoever the interim is just going to put the players in the positions that make sense for them, get out of the back three.
Joe disagrees.
good.
He says the
I think they're
defense is
fine.
too weak.
We'll see.
We'll see. All right.
Well, this is going to be the time that St. Louis finally, like, absolutely destroys a team, too. It's
Oh,
like
yeah.
6-1. Yeah. And I'm going to be like, oh, my gosh, of course.
Yeah,
I'm convinced. Yeah.
I'm not touching that one. Okay. What is business as usual?
St.
'Cause
Louis versus Portland.
That had to be mid-off. I can't
No.
believe you didn't choose that one for mid-off.
I thought about it, and here's the thing. St. Louis at home has just been consistently getting draws.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
Portland.
Okay.
And Portland, how many losses and or draws do they have this season?
A lot.
Yeah.
They've dropped a lot of points. Yep.
Dropped an enormous number of points. And yet, they didn't capitalize on the limited opportunities they had, which has been very on brand for them. And St. Louis, regressing and continuing to be like they have this year, continue to not capitalize on their opportunities, unlike what they did last season. And maybe you can argue that was a huge overperformance and a different style of play, and teams weren't ready for them. And, they were riding this high of coming into the league and being prepared and healthy and all that. Maybe you can argue that for last season. But this year, this has been on brand for them. Not making the most of their opportunities, not winning at home. It's business as usual, Gavin.
Yeah, okay. That's fair. I was
The only
definitely
thing
locked in on mid-off.
No. The only thing that I think you're honed in on why this should have been not business as usual is because Portland didn't score like 3 goals and still somehow lose.
Fair. Very fair. Yeah, I'll be honest, I didn't see this match, and this would have been one that I would have been excited to watch, I think.
This is one I was excited to watch and was disappointed because it felt like a match that St. Louis should have won because they had plenty of chances.
Well, yeah, and they're historically strong at home. Portland are kind of an open defense, although recently they've finally started to learn how to defend a little bit better. But
not been super good away.
Right. So, just a disappointing fact that this was the end result. That's all.
And it should not have been. Where I have a question is Bradley Carnell won the West last year, and St. Louis have, again, we use the word regressed, right? They're sitting in 11th place as we sit here speaking. I don't think Carnell's going to get fired by any means or stretch of the imagination. But what does it take for Carnell to right the ship? Because I think time is very quickly running out for St. Louis to make any sort of significant change.
Well, they've gotten 2 transfers in, so they've really gone quick in the market. They got a
Yeah.
free transfer, and I think they paid for somebody, a defender, and so like they've gone quick. They've brought in who they wanted, and I don't know. We've talked about how they kind of started slow. Are they ramping up to gear towards a strong end of the season finish? Or are they just like, as Joe is saying in the chat, regressing? Like, are they just kind of an average team this season? And last year they just started off strong because it was, first season emotions, and the fans were hyped and the players were hyped, and everything was just going perfectly for them. We all saw that they overperformed their metrics last season. And this is just them coming back down. I don't know. I think I think let I think they're fine. They need to bring in those players and kind of get the attack firing, get Klaus in good positions, and just get back on track.
Good positions. Like that's my thing, right? Is
Mm-hmm.
does bringing more quality in and potentially not changing anything set the team up to succeed in any way resembling what they did last year?
I think bringing more quality in is always a good thing. But you mean like the most? Are you saying their ceiling is like a playoff berth and that's it?
Yeah, I don't see a deep run into the playoffs this year. And I don't think it's necessarily even a quality issue. I don't know if the current mid-block system works for the players that they have.
I agree. Yeah. And now
And
maybe these players coming in will help with that.
I we'll
Although
see.
it's a forward and defender, nothing about a midfielder.
Right. That's like I don't know. I don't know, Gavin. I really don't. I don't know where the action has to take place beyond just changing how the midfield functions. And it doesn't seem like that's what they're doing if the first 2 signings they brought in are on either side of the midfield, but not the midfield itself.
I am looking forward to seeing Toykert. I am looking forward because I think that's added quality in the attack that could help supplement Klaus, and kind of, if he can kick off and have a strong start, like all of a sudden you're worried about more than just Joao Klaus. Because like Adoniran's kind of fallen off. Vasilev hasn't been great. Pompeu can be good on his day. Like, they've kind of not had a strong attack this season. And maybe they didn't even have that strong of an attack last season. They were just, really good at pressing, and therefore they were turning those presses and giveaways, as we saw last season when it looked like teams were just gifting them goals. They were turning those mistakes into goals pretty consistently, and they're not doing that this season with this mid-block.
Yeah. I honestly agree.
Yeah,
so I don't think the system they have matches the players they have right now. So
right, and I'm not sure. I'm really not sure what is causing the big shift, because it was successful for them last season. Yes, they were tired by the end of the season, but I'm not getting the vibe that we're gonna hit 20 games and Carnell's gonna go. Now we're gonna start pressing.
No. It doesn't make sense to build a style of play all year and then say, "Oh, just kidding." Like, right. I think if they were going to commit to a style of play as like a trial, that's what you have preseason and maybe like the first 5 to 6 matches of the season for, and then if you see it's not giving you the results you wanted, then you say, "Hey guys, we're going to shift before we get too far into the season. Now we're halfway through the season.
Right, yeah. Joe's saying a big problem is going back to your first point of the podcast, or maybe second. St. Louis is not a market anyone with a big name wants to go to.
Also fair.
Yeah.
Like, would I like to visit St. Louis? Yes, but I live in the Midwest.
Yeah, who else goes to St. Louis just for funsies? Not many people.
I want to go to try toasted ravioli, though. I'm just saying.
Why don't you just drive over there? It's only like, what, a 15-hour drive or something?
No, it's like 5 hours, Gavin.
Okay. Trip. Okay, that's nothing. Yeah.
It's nothing, Gavin. I will drive 5 hours and back
in the same day. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
All right.
Yeah, that's a great question. Why don't I just drive to St. Louis?
I don't know. You said you wanted to go. Well, that's enough on a 0-0 game, in my opinion.
And somehow it's the one we've talked about the longest so far. So, hey, let's end on the last one. SKC 2, Seattle 1. The one that Gavin said is wrongly called a mid-off. And here's the thing, Gavin. I think it's the right one to be calling this.
I just thought the other one was a mid-off, that's all. Two mid-teams.
It was two mid-teams, but here's the problem is both of them are kind of in like the lower part of the table. So it's hard to call them a mid-off with two teams doing not great this year.
I mean, this one's
SKC sits at, super far down, but Seattle is mid this year.
Mm-hmm. So mid-off. There you go.
Yeah, mid-off.
For me, I can't get past the second yellow card.
I knew I have right here in my notes. It said 2 yellows in 12 minutes for Baker Whiting. And while Gavin will say the second yellow was soft,
no,
I say if you're on a yellow card, don't give the ref a chance to call it. It's in my notes.
I don't think it's soft.
I'm shook right now, Gavin.
That's a clear yellow. That's a yellow every single match, every single week. If a ref doesn't give a yellow there, the players are shocked. Like, he pulls him back from behind.
He does. I think
he's past him. He pulls him back from behind. That scenario is a yellow card 99 times out of 100. And it's in midfield. It's not like he did it at, I don't know, in the final third.
Right.
All right, I'm getting.
It's not like he did it in the defensive third either to stop the transition.
I'm getting abused by both Arsenal Seattle fan and Joe. They're both saying it was soft, but I don't think it was soft. I think that's like 99 times out of 100 a yellow card. I saw that and I was like, yeah, that looks about right for a second yellow.
Here's the thing.
I think it's stupid from him.
I agree with you there. 100%. And that's why I don't think if you're on a yellow, don't even give the referee a chance to call that. Like, his arm reaches out. Is it tons of contact? No, he pulls a little bit of his sleeve.
All right, what about the fact that the SKC player flew backwards? Because now I'm reading in the chat that he just fell over.
Yes. Again, don't give the referee a chance to call that. Players will always sell that contact.
Yes.
It was not smart to put yourself in that situation. That's my main takeaway here is I do not trust a referee to be like, oh, I'm wrong. I'm on the wrong side of these guys. And I see his arm reach out and the players around him, and they have no idea how much or how little grabbing or contact there was.
I think for me, it's just the fact that the guy's completely past him. He's coming from behind, grabs him, and pulls him back. And the dude flies backwards, but that's just good. It's good gamesmanship. Yeah, it's good 100%. Selling. So
he sells it 100%. He gets the yellow again.
It's dirty. I hate it, but players do it, and it pisses me off. But
yeah,
don't pull the dude back from behind. What are you thinking? Other than that, I mean, it's still 1-1 at that point, and the last goal
see as a fluke.
Yeah, like he kicks it right at Steph.
Right. And he lets it go by, gets beat near post. Now, I will say, I think it was very pedestrian defending from Seattle on this one because you
They're
have
probably
an
tired.
offside. Yeah, but I mean, you have an offside trap, like, and they're not looking to see where they are in the line. Like, they're trying to move up, and the other side of the line is still further back. They're creating all this space to play a guy onside by moving up and then not staying in line with their rest of their team.
Mm-hmm.
I just look, know where your teammates are.
Yeah, easier said than done, but yep.
Yeah, and again, maybe they're playing it right. You know, maybe the game plan is to push up and to create that trap and to try and pull guys offside. That's fine and all. I get it. You're doing the right thing, but still need to be aware of where your team is.
I think most coaches would say in that scenario, if there's a player on the byline, even if, players didn't do the offside trap, whatever, force him to take a shot from that angle rather than cut it back. And they force him to take a shot. And then your goalkeeper's supposed to do his job and not... I don't even know how the ball got in. They kicked it right at him. And you would think that physics would mean the ball would bounce off of him.
Mm-hmm.
But instead it went through him and
he
went into goal. It was weird. It was very odd.
He threw out an arm and it the way that he threw his arm out bounced it off of himself because he didn't catch it. He tried to block it, right?
Yeah.
And maybe this is just one where you're just Steph, you gotta catch that ball near post.
Yep. Absolutely have to. All right,
yeah.
We're getting a lot of chats here. Okay, so let's start with this one. At this point, I'm sacking Brian from
spicy.
Arsenal Seattle fan Sounders.
Very spicy. I think.
Give him the season, man. Give him the season.
I think he will get the season, but I think you're getting in a combination of. Yeah, I think Brian and his tactics are not working right now, but I think the team was also way too slow to make decisions on players. So you've stuck Brian with players that can't do what he's asking of them as well. And you get a very mid team as the result.
Seattle needs to make lots of changes in the transfer window. Joe said Seattle needs to replace Nico Ladero, which you wouldn't think that, considering they've played without him a lot of the last few seasons, but they're missing him and his creativity.
Yeah.
Seattle fan, to be honest, 4 of 7 goals from Rui Diaz have been PKs. The other 2 were screamers. Rusnak is not a DP. He's not a number 10. Sell one of the Roldan brothers.
Oh my gosh! Just every single,
just literally everybody's up.
Beliefs. Yeah.
Reagan is not good.
This.
Besides his defensive heading and long passing.
I feel so vindicated right now for my entire take
my guy.
This season.
I am sorry.
Especially on Rui Diaz.
He's going through it. I don't blame him. It's been a rough season.
The Rui Diaz signing was a travesty. I get club legend. You don't want to be the one to let him go, but
it was the perfect time. I couldn't believe they re-signed him.
Mm-hmm. It's shocking.
Nuhu is overrated, maybe.
No.
Nah, Nuhu's a legend. He's just a quick bozo.
Hey, Mr. Speed and Power got a great timed run in this match.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, Seattle being the team to allow SKC to get their first win in 10 matches was not on my bingo card this weekend, that's for certain.
Yeah, but Seattle not winning should have been on our bingo card, at least as a possibility.
I guess.
I could have seen Seattle or draw.
That was on my card. That was on my card. And so that was kind of disappointing. But
yeah.
Last comment here before we move on. I guess we should talk about SKC a bit. But
Well,
Arsenal Seattle
don't we?
fans says, I don't know how we still have Leo Chu, Atencio Vargas, or Leyva.
Leo Chu had like that hot streak last year, and he got all the goodwill from it.
Yeah, he's been a dud. He's one of those where I'm like, oh, he got hyped. Somebody bit on him, and he hasn't lived up to expectations at all. Not even close.
I am curious about Pedro de la Vega.
Can't stay fit. Like how did they sign this dude who can't stay fit? That's what I'm not understanding.
I mean, was he fit all the time prior to this? Because, like, again, look at like Thomas Partey for Arsenal, right? Like, the dude was an Iron Man, goes to Arsenal, and like injury bug after injury bug after injury bug, which I have a sneaking suspicion that Arsenal Seattle will appreciate the Thomas Partey reference.
Yes,
but,
probably.
I mean, it's possible, right? It can happen to players.
It can.
But if it's like where FC Cincinnati signed Kamo Makocho, despite the medical coming back and saying, hey, this guy, you probably shouldn't sign him because we don't think that he medically could perform, and then they sign him anyways, and then he mainly never plays, like,
yeah,
that's on the person making the decision at that point. So
well, I guess, do you think on Kansas City side of things that they can take this and kick on and have a good run from here, similar to how they did last season?
No,
It's not happening.
Nope.
They've done it before. They've done it to us before.
You are correct. They have done it to us before. Gavin, I would be stunned. Like, I would be willing to like hang up, something, right? Like, I would be willing to hang up the boots on my hot takes if they managed to do two worst to quote unquote first in line to make it into the playoffs comebacks back to back. I mean, like, at that point, if you are consistently getting into this position and you're getting deeper into this position, with each passing season, you have to just start admitting you might have a problem.
I think a lot of the fans have admitted they have a problem. I think it's the front office who need to start repenting.
Right.
Is that what it is?
Yes. Peter Vermees needs to have a sit down with his head coach and really question the head coach on the results.
Yeah.
Since Peter Vermees, as the person running the front office, it really should be responsible for the head coach's results.
So dumb. In this day and age, I don't know why they still do that. But
I don't have an explanation for you.
They feel like a team afraid of, like a club, I should say, afraid of change, like major change. Like, they've had Shallowy for so long. They re-signed Pulido, even though the data backs up that he can't stay fit consistently. Johnny Russell's never been my cup of tea. He has hot streaks, but then he goes missing he has cold streaks, I guess I should say. And that's like their attacking line right there. Curry Shelton has never fully performed for them. He's had, I feel like, a hot streak or two, like where he was starter level quality, and most of the time he's just on the bench, and then from there it's just kind of like supporting cast players, which is fine, but the starters aren't up to par. You can't make a
whole team of it. Right?
Yeah, the starters aren't up to par, so like the backups who are supposed to be supporting cast players aren't. Gonna bring you to the next level. So I think they need new attack. I think their midfield and defense is decent. Could probably use a new center back. And then eventually a new structure at the club to support a head coach and not have a head coach general manager system.
Yep.
And I hope they're looking into that now, because if they get someone in now, then they will be ready in like 18 months for a coach who can fit that mold. But if they try to do it all at the same time, it's going to be too much all at once. And we could see a historically bad year for SKC.
And it's still possible.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they're kind of in the middle of a historically bad year right now. It's not great.
No.
Tommy's under the radar. He looks good. Shaloi is underperforming. Yeah. Shaloi, sorry. For me, I don't think he's underperforming. I think that's his level. Arsenal, Seattle fan. Like, he's never really impressed me. He again, like, their whole offense to me just feels so streaky. So inconsistent. They go on hot streaks and then you don't hear from them for 7 months. And it's like, what is he doing? He scored a goal last week? Or he scored a goal 3 weeks ago, and then he has a hat trick, and then 2 goals the next game, and 2 goals the next game, and then a goal the next game. And then after that, he's kind of average for a while. I just think he's super inconsistent. So
I have nothing to like dispute that with. Like, it's just I agree with your take.
Arsenal Seattle fan does not. I don't blame him. I don't know what I'm talking about half the time.
Yeah, but the other half of the time when you do know what you're talking about, watch out.
It's ugly out here in the streets when that happens.
Yeah.
Cool.
Gavin, that's our 4 matches.
That is.
But
our
here's
4
my
matches.
question. Do you want to try and brave these dangerous waters and make another pick 3 ahead of this crazy weekend return of regular soccer?
Yeah,
which
okay.
I'm going to tell you right now, I think this is going to be a ridiculous first week back. I don't expect to win anything.
Might be like a 1 or 2 bet kind of weekend.
Yeah. I'm taking what I believe to be an extremely safe 3 picks here. I'm going to take Real Salt Lake over CF Montreal.
Okay.
I'm going to take Vancouver Whitecaps over the New England Revolution.
Okay.
Which is shaky, but I think they can do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, I'm going to take FC Cincinnati over San Jose. It's like out of
if y'all
all
don't
of
beat them.
Yeah, like that's the one I feel the most confident on.
If
An
y'all
honorable
don't
mention
beat
would
them.
be, honorable mention is maybe adding Toronto over Chicago instead of doing Vancouver over New England, just because like that is a long trip, and Vancouver are very hit or miss, and I don't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that maybe I'll swap Toronto in as a. In fact, I am going to do that. I'm going to do a Toronto over Chicago instead of Vancouver over New England.
Yeah, this is an ugly weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Ugly weekend. Oh, you guys are away to San Jose.
Away. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We are away to San Jose.
Sorry, I thought you guys were
way
home.
to San Jose. No,
I do not know the way to San Jose.
Yeah, it's west. For you, it's north and west.
Joe's making fun of you. Says that you picked the 3 safest bets, follows it up with the 4th safest bet.
Yeah. Here's the thing. For Cincinnati, it's been 15 days off for them. I 100% see a world where they just go and completely drop a stinker in St. Louis. And betting against New England Revolution, who somehow just got a win against a very inconsistent Vancouver Whitecaps, who were on a long break. I can see that as well. Like, I could talk myself into any of these teams losing is the crazy thing, because like we're on the international break and weird things happen the first week back.
Every time.
Every time.
I don't
I do
like.
think they're the 3 and 4 safest though.
I don't like any of these. Honestly, I don't like any of these games. Okay, I'm going.
Ooh, hey, really good one though.
Yeah,
What would you touch for NYCFC versus Columbus?
Columbus.
I would take NYCFC.
I'm
Tell you
taking Columbus.
No way.
Yep.
I think because remember they had the food poisoning. They traveled. They were at elevation. They're gonna have the CONCACAF Champions Cup hangover. I think.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still picking Columbus.
I'm.
Well, how much is a Columbus or draw? Maybe I'll do that.
I wouldn't touch that. I
Minus
might touch
155.
I might touch NYCFC or draw.
You've convinced. I think Columbus are winning that game.
No way. Mm-mm.
Okay. Charlotte over DC. Yeah, I know. I saw your face. I don't like it. Okay, I'm not doing that.
The man takes. He's like, oh, you took the safest bets. Proceeds to take like the second riskiest game as though just making a point.
Joe said it, not me. Okay, I'm not touching that one anymore. Dude, I can't do this weekend. This is despicably disgusting.
There's New York Red Bulls versus Nashville. Nashville have looked
No,
horrific
Red Bull.
after...
I can't after Red Bulls. They looked terrible. I'm sorry.
They had both their difference makers gone. They're gonna be back.
Are they?
I'm assuming so. Yeah. Maybe not. I don't know. Hey, what do I know? I'm not a New York Red Bulls follower. You gotta ask Coach Joe. He lives near New York Red Bulls. He knows.
I feel like I don't trust any of these teams. That's the problem. I have no trust in any.
All right, no, enough treading water.
Anyone.
Look, I already saved you from making a terrible decision once. You got to pick your 3. We can't listen to you waffling for 20 minutes.
Okay, that's fair. Okay, Toronto.
Fair. Yeah.
Tire Columbus. And jeez Louise, Galaxy. That's what I'll do.
Okay.
Jeez. What an ugly weekend.
I'm shocked you did not take LAFC over Orlando.
No. Sometimes we do well in big games. Sometimes we figure it out.
This year?
No, just under Preha in general. Russell wants to touch NYCFC. Breaking 100%. News from Joe. Arango, anytime goal scorer, yes. Cucho Hernandez, anytime goal scorer, yes.
No.
Question, Marco Royce to Galaxy, how would he fit in with Puig, Delgado, and Brugman in the midfield?
Ooh. I mean...
That's from Arsenal Seattle fan.
That's a good question. I don't know.
Well, Royce would be on the wing, wouldn't he?
Ish, yeah. He's
or is he playing more midfield these days?
I mean, I think he's going to have to drift in towards the midfield. Like, I don't know. Do you... Because, I mean, I don't think you do anything to disrupt Ricky Puig right now. And...
No.
And Marco will cannibalize some of what Puig is doing.
Yes.
That will be interesting. That will be very interesting. I had not given that much thought at all.
Mm-hmm. Joe says as a super sub. Use him as a super sub.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Yep. Okay, well, I think we leave it there. That's it from the viewers. Thanks for joining, Joe and Arsenal Seattle fan, and others who weren't chatting but were listening and watching. We do appreciate it.
Gavin can see the viewer count. He knows.
I can.
I trust Gavin.
It was more
I
than
mostly
3.
trust Gavin. Yeah, I don't know if I fully trust Gavin, considering he said he didn't want to talk about podcasting.
You knew what I meant.
I didn't know what you meant. That's the thing. If I knew what you meant, Gavin, I would not have been flummoxed.
Politics.
Not the
We're
same.
not talking politics.
2 syllables versus 3 syllables, Gavin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know.
Different words.
Different words.
So. All right. Well, hey, if you want to follow Gavin on social media to learn about different words from him, you can find Gavin on social media at LionsBlog1. You can find me on social media to debate the finer points of Gavin's mess ups in recordings at Mr. Danger Russ. And most importantly, you can follow the podcast on social media at MLS Now Podcast. Gavin, last word, or do we just call it there?
Call it there. See you next time.
I gave you a chance to speak. Forever hold your peace. Till next time.